I told you a long time ago, you fucking little monkey, not to fuck me.
Hey, who the fuck do you think you're talking to, huh? Who the fuck do you think I am, you fucking dumb boy? You wanna go to war? You wanna go to war? I'll take you to war, okay?
May 5th, Floyd Mayweather will not be fighting Manny Pacquiao. He will be fighting Miguel Cotto at 154 pounds. This is, news obviously we heard last week. It's pretty much for Cotto's WBA title. This is Floyd's second trip to 154 since his fight with Oscar in 2007. And, I almost prophesized this fight. I had this weird feeling from Cotto not re-signing with Top Rank to Mayweather having issues with Pacquiao. These names like Robert Guerrero and Saul Alvarez, they were pawns. It was definitely leaning towards a fight with Miguel Cotto because it's the most lucrative fight that can be made right now between 147 and 154. That doesn't include a Pacquiao and Mayweather fight. As I've mentioned in the past, Miguel Cotto is a distant third to Mayweather and Pacquiao as far as pay-per-view sales, gate, and so forth. I mean, at Madison Square Garden, Cotto is king. But on the grand scale, obviously Mayweather and Pacquiao hold, they're both standing on that pedestal. I'm at a point where I believe they may never fight because as what we're hearing now, Pacquiao Bradley is also signed and they are setting up for the winner of Peterson and Marquez, which is to take place shortly after that, or I believe it may be on the undercard. They would fight in November, so that already eliminates Mayweather. So my whole thing is, I personally am not even paying attention to that fight anymore because I think the media has drowned it so much. It's gotten ridiculous, and at this point it's like, you know what, if you guys aren't gonna fight anybody else, just fight the next best competition and whatever, because I really don't think they're gonna fight. So, or if they do fight, I mean, think about it, if they do fight, it's probably gonna be next year, and like, who's gonna give a shit anymore? You know what I mean? So we have the next best fight that can be made, at least for Floyd Mayweather. Manny Pacquiao has fought Miguel Cotto, fought him at a catch weight of 145. First 4 rounds looked pretty even, but Pacquiao just whipped Cotto's ass. Too much speed, and he couldn't handle the power. But Floyd Mayweather, it's obviously it's a different fight. You know what I'm saying? He just picks these guys apart. But seeing Floyd from early on, from his fights with Castillo and Corrales and Brucelas and Augustus, which was one of his toughest fights. But in all realness, man, like the thing about Floyd Mayweather is that he's a guy who he has, in his later, at least at welterweight, he hasn't been as dynamic. He gets the job done, but I think overall, what I've seen is a more stationary Mayweather who's still really good inside the pocket. I mean, he can fight on the inside. People don't give him credit for that because it's like when you see Floyd against the ropes and you see people wailing at him and everything. I mean, he's not really getting hit with much. So I think people underrate him for how good he is on the inside, and I think that's really what he's been doing, maybe to save energy, because what he used to do was really just bounce around, and he was more on his toes and threw a lot more combinations. And for most Mayweather fans, like, the one performance that he had that put Mayweather, where they put him on this like huge pedestal, was his performance against Arturo Gatti, where he just demolished him. But I think what people need to remember with that fight too is, Gatti had gone through wars with Mickey Ward, and Arturo Gatti, rest in peace, was never like a great tactician in the ring, man. He was just a balls to the wall fighter, man. And anybody, you know, Floyd Mayweather and many other guys could have done that to Gotti at that point. So it's, you know, even back then, I thought Floyd put on a great performance, but you know, I stand by the rule of, you know, you're as good as the opponent you beat, you know, and you know, Alfonso Gomez beat Arturo Gotti, you know, so it's something that, like, for Floyd's sake, he looked good in the performance, but you know, given who he was fighting when he fought him, you know, what can you say, man? So what we've seen with Mayweather, man, and I think this is attributed to him being at a higher weight, him not being 26 years old anymore, is he's being very conservative, not only with his punches, but with the energy that he exerts. I think examples that you can see is in his fights with Marquez and with Mosley, where I believe at times, you know, Mosley seemed gassed out in the 4th, 5th round, and there were times where it seemed like Floyd could have taken him out. But he's just, you know, like I said, very economical with his punches now, and he's very, you know, more on the side of just getting the job done. Which, hey, look, if that's what it is, that's what it is. You know, with a guy like Miguel Cotto now, I mean, this is a fight that even prior to the hype that Mayweather-Pacquiao is, Miguel Cotto was lined up to fight Floyd Mayweather. You know, Mayweather was with Top Rank at one point, and you know, there was a time where Mayweather wanted to fight Cotto when Cotto was still kind of green at 140, and you know, he was having issues making 140, even though he was like still a bull at that weight. Clearly in the Malignaggi fight, I mean, if you look at you could Google it. I mean, if you look at the weigh-in pictures, I mean, he looked like a ghost. To 147, he fought the likes of Zab Judah, Carlos Quintana, Shane Mosley. You know, it was almost the right time, or it was getting to that point where, you know, a matchup with Mayweather-Cotto was going to make sense, being they were both at welterweight. Cotto was the #1 ranked welterweight under Floyd, but, you know, Cotto hit a roadblock with a guy by the name of Antonio Margarito, and that really took Cotto's career in a completely different path. And from that point on, Mayweather went on to fight. You know, he had fought Ricky Hatton, but took a sabbatical, came back, and he's fought the likes of Juan Manuel Marquez, Shane Mosley, and Victor Ortiz as of recent. So guys like Marquez and Mosley are names on his resume, but I mean, if you really dissect those fights, you know, they weren't the toughest fights Floyd could have taken, but at least for the Mosley fight, it made sense. Was Mosley an older guy, 38 years old, hadn't fought in 16 months? Yeah, you know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, he's still Shane Mosley. And, you know, with Cotto, he went on to fight Pacquiao and Joshua Clottey, and, you know, which both fights were really tough, and Pacquiao, he got beat. And from that point, he went up to 154 and has fought Yuri Foreman, Ricardo Mayorga, and he just got his rematch with Margarito, where, you know, he seemingly, you know, put his demons to sleep. I don't think he's a fighter who is, you know, back in like his second prime or what have you. I think we have probably a more confident Miguel Cotto, a more mentally stable Miguel Cotto, and a Miguel Cotto with a better training camp and a much better trainer than, you know, Joe Santiago. And, you know, he had worked with Emmanuel Stewart, but it seems like the matchup between him and Diaz seems like a better fit. This fight, more, you know, I'm reading more and more about people just looking at this fight as just a cakewalk for Floyd Mayweather. And like I said, this isn't a prediction video or anything, but the only thing I can say, and what I believe, is that I believe this is going to be one of Floyd's toughest fights of his career. I don't think that Miguel Cotto, even now, and being at 154 pounds, which though some people may think is not a big deal for Floyd, keep in mind there's two things about this fight that's going to interest me. is whether Floyd is gonna do something like what Pacquiao did, where he you know, like for the fight with Margarito, where he stayed at 144 and he fought him anyway. Or is Floyd gonna come in at 150 maybe? Because I'm not hearing that there's any catch weight. I'm hearing it's 154. So Cotto can weigh anything up to 154, but he's not your quintessential 154 guy. You know, he's a small 154, but in comparison to Floyd, I think he's stronger than Floyd. But what'll interest me is how heavy Floyd comes in fight night, because Floyd's usually a guy, and he's been like this for most of his career, at least when he got up to 140, where he doesn't have a lot of hydrate difference from his weigh-in weight to his fight night weight. He could weigh 146, 147. He usually weighs 146, and he'll come in like 148, maybe 150. So, being that this fight's gonna be a 154, I'm really interested to see if Floyd has really gotten to be big enough to fight at 154 now. Much more differently than he was with Oscar, where, you know, he was a small fighter compared to Oscar. But, you know, Floyd's beefed up a little bit in the last couple of years, and he's obviously still, you know, he's still maintaining the weight. But Cotto visibly is a much, you know, bigger guy, you know, fight night and also just in general. So, gonna be very interesting to see how that plays into Floyd's overall physical abilities in the fight, because I mean, he's still, I would say, very accurate. I don't think he's as fast as he used to be, but I think his accuracy and his timing is still there. But like I always say, and I say this with a lot of fighters that fight in the style of Mayweather, you know, inevitably there's gonna be a point where those reflexes and that timing is gonna be just a little bit off, and that can determine whether or not you are as successful against a guy like Cotto, who has a good jab, goes to the body pretty well, and has good ring generalship, which is a thing that I don't believe guys like Mosley, Marquez, or Ortiz were really able to implement. But based on the guys that Cotto has fought that are more similar to Floyd, he knows how to cut the ring off really well, even better than Pacquiao. I think Pacquiao chases you, as where Cotto knows how to position himself to not let you circle him, or not to let him maybe go, or let them go to their left or whatnot. So it's little things to think about. Again, this fight's not till May, and I want to see the training camps, and I want to see really the demeanor of both fighters. And I think we're gonna have a much better fight than people are expecting. So I'm looking forward to it. Like I said, man, if Mayweather Pacquiao's not gonna happen, I don't give a shit anymore. Let's just make the best possible fights that can be made minus those two, because it's really, like, I think it's hurting the sport more than anything. So I'll be back, throughout, the months to talk about this fight. But, just catch me in the next couple of weeks, because we got, several fights coming up. And if you already have a prediction for Mayweather Cotto, let me know, and we'll see what's popping. So, like I always say, check the links, subscribe, and I'll be back soon. Peace.